The Galactic Council Chamber was the most impressive structure in the known universe, built from crystallized starlight and suspended in the void between galaxies. It served as the meeting place for the 47 most powerful species in existence. Today, every seat was filled. Ambassador Krell of the Vakari Dominion stood at the central podium. His 6 eyes scanned the assembled representatives with satisfaction. Behind him, a holographic display showed images of Earth, a small blue planet, in an unremarkable corner of the galaxy. "Honored representatives," Krell began, his voice amplified across the chamber, "we gather today to address a growing threat. The humans of Earth have advanced too quickly, merely 200 cycles. They have gone from primitive chemical rockets to quantum drives. They have developed weapons that rival our own. If we do not act now, they will become unstoppable." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. The insectoid Chither representative clicked her mandibles in agreement. The gaseous Velern representative pulsed with supportive colors. Everyone had seen the reports. "Propose immediate subjugation," Krell continued. "Earth must submit to Council authority. It will surrender their advanced technology, accept our governance, and take their place as a supervised species. This is for the good of galactic stability." What Krell did not say, what none of the representatives would admit, is that each species had their own secret reasons for wanting Earth controlled. The Vokari wanted Earth's rare minerals. The Kithir desired the water-rich planet for colonization. The Velern coveted human genetic material for their experiments. Every species saw Earth as a prize to be claimed. The vote was called. One by one, every representative raised their voting crystal. Blue light filled the chamber, unanimous approval. It was the first time in 3,000 cycles that the Council had agreed so completely. "The resolution passes," declared Council Speaker Morvax, her ancient voice carrying the weight of authority. "Earth will be given 30 rotations to submit. If they refuse, military force will be authorized." The broadcast was transmitted immediately across all known space. On Earth, the message arrived during what humans called night in their largest city centers. In New York, the emergency sirens wailed. In Beijing, government officials rushed to secure facilities. In Geneva, the United Nations convened an emergency session within the hour. Across the planet, 7 billion humans learned that 47 alien species had voted to enslave them. Director Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Earth's Galactic Relations, division organization most humans did not even know existed. She watched the Council's broadcast on the main screen, her face calm despite the chaos erupting in the streets outside. "They actually did it," said her deputy James Rodriguez. "Every single species voted yes." "Of course they did," Sarah replied quietly. "We knew they would. Humanity has been monitoring their communications for 5 years. We knew this vote was coming the moment we detected their scout ships." James stared at her. "You knew? Then why didn't we?" "Because fear makes people do stupid things," Sarah interrupted. "The Council expected us to panic, to beg, to show them we were weak. Instead, we prepared." She turned to her communications officer. "Send the response message. Short and simple." The officer nodded and typed quickly. Moments later, Earth's official response was transmitted to the Galactic Council. "We acknowledge your message. Our response will follow." That was all. No pleading. No threats. No surrender. Just those 8 words. Across the galaxy, the message was received with confusion. The Council had expected hysteria, desperate diplomatic negotiations, or perhaps defiant threats. The calm acknowledgement was unsettling. "What are they planning?" asked the Chither representative. "Nothing," Krell dismissed with a wave. "They are simply in shock. They know they cannot resist. This silence is acceptance." But Krell was wrong. In orbit above Earth, Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance, humanity's first true warship. Around him, his crew worked with practiced efficiency. Through the viewport, he could see dozens of other ships, some military vessels. Others converted civilian craft, all armed and ready. "Status report," Marcus ordered. "All defense platforms are online," reported his tactical officer. "The lunar batteries are charged. Mars base is ready. The asteroid field installations are fully operational." Marcus nodded. The past 5 years had not been wasted. While the Council debated whether humanity was a threat, Humans had been building, planning, and preparing for this exact moment. They will come soon, Marcus said.
Ow.
The council does not like to wait. When they arrive, they will expect to see a frightened planet. Instead, they will learn that humanity does not kneel easily. His second-in-command, Commander Lisa Park, stepped beside him. Sir, the evacuation of coastal cities is complete. Civilian shelters are at capacity. Everyone knows their role. Good, Marcus replied. Make sure the crews understand we are not trying to win this first battle. We are trying to make them pay for every inch of space they take. We are trying to make them bleed. At the edge of Earth's solar system, space began to shimmer. One by one, massive council warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of them, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. At their head was the flagship Sovereign Justice, commanded by Admiral Threcker of the Council's combined fleet. Admiral Threcker looked at the small blue planet on his display with contempt. Scan for defenses, he ordered.
Sir, we are detecting.
Numerous installations throughout the system. Defense platforms, weapon batteries, automated drones. How many? Threcker interrupted. The sensor officer hesitated. Thousands, sir. They have fortified their entire solar system. A silence fell over the bridge. This was not supposed to happen. Primitive species did not have system-wide defenses. They did not prepare for galactic invasion. It does not matter, Threcker finally said. We outnumber and outgun them completely. All ships move to attack formation. We will crush this resistance and make an example of Earth. The fleet advanced, confident in their overwhelming superiority. On Earth, Sarah Chen watched the enemy fleet approach on her displays. She pressed a button on her console. Captain Webb, you are authorized to engage. Show them what humanity is capable of. Marcus Webb smiled grimly. With pleasure, Director. All ships, battle stations. Today, we teach the galaxy a lesson they will never forget. The war for Earth's freedom had begun. Every species chose Earth's. Subjugation, none expected Earth's response. Part 2. The first wave Admiral Threcker stood confidently on the bridge of Sovereign Justice as his fleet entered Earth's solar system. His tactical display showed the Council's overwhelming advantage: 300 warships against perhaps 50 human vessels. The outcome was certain. Deploy forward screening elements, he commanded. Locate their defense platforms and destroy them. The lead ships moved ahead, their weapons hot and ready. What happened next would be discussed in military academies for generations to come. The space around Neptune suddenly erupted with weapons fire. Dozens of concealed platforms powered up simultaneously, launching missiles and particle beams. 3 council ships exploded before they could raise shields. 2 more were crippled, tumbling out of formation. Return fire, Threcker shouted, gripping his command chair. Where are those platforms? It's everywhere, sir, his tactical officer reported in shock. The entire outer system is mined with defense installations. We're detecting automated weapons on asteroids, moons, even free-floating satellites. There are thousands of them. This was impossible. Council had been watching Earth for decades. When had they built all this? The answer was simple. They had been watching, but not carefully enough. Every mining ship, every research station, every civilian installation had been dual purpose. Humanity had weaponized their entire solar system while the Council debated and planned. Captain Marcus Webb watched from the bridge of ESS Defiance as the Council fleet struggled with the automated defenses. Phase 1 is working, he said. Now Phase 2. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Remember your training, hit and run, never stay in one place. The human fleet burst from concealment behind Jupiter's moons. Unlike the Council's massive capital ships, Earth's vessels were small, fast, and operated under a completely different tactical doctrine. They did not fight like civilized species. They fought like pirates, like guerrillas. Like humans, S Defiance screamed past a Council battlecruiser at point-blank range. Its railguns tearing through the shields at angles the designers had never anticipated. Before the enemy could return fire, Marcus had already ordered a hard burn away, using Jupiter's gravity to slingshot into a new attack vector. Another human ship rammed directly into a Council destroyer, its eye pilot staying at the controls until the last second before ejecting in an escape pod. The destroyer broke in half, debris spreading across space. They are insane. A council captain screamed over the communication channels. They are sacrificing their own ships. But it was calculated insanity. Every human vessel that was destroyed took 2 or 3 council ships with it. The automated defenses continued their relentless assault. What should have been a simple invasion had become a chaotic battle that was costing the council dearly. Admiral Threcker made a decision. All ships concentrate fire on the planet itself. We will force them to defend a single position. The fleet reformed and pushed toward Earth, accepting heavy losses from the defense platforms. They fought through the automated defenses around Mars, destroyed the weapon batteries on Earth's moon, and finally entered low Earth orbit. They had won the battle, but at a terrible cost. Nearly 40% of the fleet was destroyed or disabled. Demand their surrender, Threcker ordered, exhausted. Tell them we will bombard their cities if they do not comply. But before the message could be sent, something unexpected happened. Human communication channels opened on all frequencies, broadcasting to every council ship simultaneously. Council forces, came a calm human voice. We are standing down. Our remaining ships will power down weapons. We request that you accept our wounded personnel for medical treatment, and we will do the same for your survivors. Threcker was suspicious. This is a trick. But it was not. Human ships began broadcasting surrender codes, their weapons going cold. Escape pods from both sides were being retrieved by medical vessels bearing the Red Cross symbol, a human icon of healing. Sir, they are treating our wounded, reported Threcker's medical officer. Their doctors are providing care to our injured soldiers. They are treating them with respect. This was not how wars ended. Defeated species begged for mercy or fought to the last. They did not offer medical care to their conquerors. They did not treat enemy wounded with the same attention as their own. Commander. Lisa Park oversaw the medical ships herself. She watched as human doctors worked alongside captured council medical staff, sharing techniques and saving lives on both sides. Make sure every soldier we treat gets a personal message, she ordered. Let them record videos to send home to their families. Show them we are not monsters. One such soldier was a young Vokari warrior named Kess. He had lost 3 of his limbs in the battle and expected to be executed or enslaved. Instead, human doctors fitted him with temporary prosthetics and gave him a communication device. You can send a message to your family, a human nurse explained gently. Tell them you are alive and being cared for. Kess recorded a tearful message to his mother, showing his treatment, the clean medical facility, and the humans who had saved his life. They are not the monsters Ambassador Krell described, he said into the camera. They fight like demons, but they heal like angels. That video, and thousands like it, were released to the soldiers and sent home. Within days, they spread across the galactic network. Citizens of Council species watched in confusion as their propaganda about primitive, violent humans clashed with images of compassion and mercy. Director Tira Chen watched the videos spread from her command center. This is what we needed, she told her staff. Military victory was never the goal. Changing hearts and minds, that is how we win. Director James Rodriguez interrupted. We are getting reports from our deep space monitoring network. The Council is assembling a much larger fleet. This was just the first wave, Sarah nodded. She had expected this. How long do we have? 6 weeks, maybe 2 months, James reported. They are pulling ships from across their territory. Then we move to Phase 3, Sarah said. Send the encrypted messages to our contacts. It is time for the galaxy to learn the truth. On the Council homeworlds, the survivors of the first wave returned. They told stories that contradicted everything their governments had said. The humans were not primitive savages. They were strategic, organized, and surprisingly compassionate. The easy victory had cost thousands of lives and hundreds of ships. Ambassador Krell watched his political support crumble as casualty reports came in. Families of the dead demanded answers. How had the primitive humans been so prepared? Why had intelligence failed so completely? What else had Krell lied about? In the council chamber, Speaker Morvax called for an emergency session. The first subjugation attempt has failed, she announced. We must decide how to proceed. Do we negotiate, or do we commit to total war? The chamber erupted in argument. Some species wanted revenge for their losses. Others questioned whether Earth was worth the cost. A few quietly wondered if they had made a terrible mistake, far from the political debates. Captain Marcus Webb sat in his quarters aboard the damaged Defiance. His ship had survived, but many others had not. He thought of the crews who had sacrificed themselves, the pilots who had rammed enemy ships, knowing they would not survive. Was it worth it? Asked Commander Park, standing at his door. Marcus looked at the casualty reports. Then, at the intelligence summaries, showing how the videos had affected Council populations. Every life lost hurts, he said. But we knew this was bigger than one battle. We are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting to show the galaxy that there is another way. And yes, Commander, it was worth it. The first battle was over. The real war was just beginning, and it would not be won with weapons alone. Every species chose Earth's subjugation. None expected Earth's response. Part 3. The hidden network. The Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives argued over Earth. 2 months had passed since the disastrous first battle, and the assembled species were deeply divided. We must finish what we started, insisted General Vorkoth of the Kryn Empire. If we back down now, we show weakness to the entire galaxy. Every minor species will think they can resist us. More ships? Challenged Representative Ileana of the Rixian Confederation. More deaths? My people are asking why we are fighting at all. The humans have done nothing to threaten us. Ambassador Krell remained silent in his seat, his political power shattered. The families of the dead had called for his removal, but he still held his position by a thin thread. He watched the argument with growing despair. Speaker Morvax raised her hand for silence. We will vote on authorizing a second, larger fleet. However, before we do, the humans have requested to address this chamber. I have granted them this courtesy. Chamber doors opened. Director Sarah Chen walked in, flanked by 2 human security officers. She was not armed, or a simple business attire, and showed no sign of fear despite being surrounded by representatives of species that wanted her world enslaved. Honored Speaker, Council representatives, Sarah began, her voice steady. I come not to beg for mercy, but to offer you truth. She pressed a button on her tablet. The chamber's holographic displays activated, showing dozens of files, communications, and classified documents. For the past 7 years, Earth has been monitoring your communications, Sarah continued. We know why each of you voted for our subjugation. Vokaryu wanted our rare Earth minerals for your weapons industry. Chither-Yu planned to colonize our oceans and displace our populations. Velernu sought our genetic material for your breeding programs. The chamber erupted in shouts of denial, but Sarah continued over them. Every species here had secret motives. This was never about galactic security. It was about greed, expansion, and exploitation. We have the proof, and as of 5 minutes ago, it has been released to every public news network across the galaxy. Speaker Morvax's face paled. You would not dare. We already did, Sarah replied. Your own people are seeing the truth right now. They are learning that their governments lied to them about why their children died in a pointless war. Across council space, the reaction was immediate. On the Vokari homeworld, protesters filled the streets demanding Krell's arrest. On Chither Prime, the Prime Hive faced calls for dissolution. Even species that had suffered minimal losses were facing internal turmoil as citizens questioned their leader's honesty. But Sarah was not finished. She pressed another button. The displays changed to show dozens of unfamiliar species races that no council member recognized. While you debated subjugating Earth, we were building alliances, Sarah said. These are the Tirani, the Bellwether Collective, the Asun Federation, and 42 other species. You do not know them because they are not part of your council. They are the species you ignored, the ones you considered too primitive or too remote to matter. Representative Ileana leaned forward. What have you promised them? Nothing they could not earn themselves, Sarah replied. We shared our medical technology freely. We offered trade agreements based on mutual benefit, not exploitation. We treated them as equals. And in return, they have agreed to stand with Earth. Impossible, General Vorkath scoffed. Minor species have no military power. They cannot threaten us. Sarah smiled coldly. You are right. They cannot match your military. But they control resources you need. The Tyranny mine, the chromium your shields require. The Bellwether Collective processes the fuel your ships use. The Asun Federation controls 3 major trade routes. As of today, they have all agreed to embargo the Council species until you withdraw from Earth. The implications sank in slowly. Without those resources and trade routes, the Council's economy would suffer. Their military capabilities would decline. They could win a war against Earth, but it would cost them their dominance over the galaxy. This is blackmail, Vorkath growled. No, Sarah corrected. This is negotiation. You voted to subjugate us without bothering to talk to us first. Now we are talking, and we are offering you a choice. She brought up a new document on the displays. Earth proposes a new agreement. We will share our medical technology, our agricultural techniques, and our water purification methods with any species that wants them council or non-council. In return, you leave Earth sovereign and stop treating minor species as resources to exploit. And if we refuse? Speaker Morvax asked quietly. Then the embargo continues. Your people keep protesting. And we keep releasing information about your government's corruption, Sarah said bluntly. You can win a military victory against Earth, but you will lose everything else. In the back of the chamber, a junior diplomat from the Rixian Confederation named Zero watched with fascination. She had always questioned the Council's methods, the way they treated smaller species with contempt. Now, seeing a human stand before the most powerful beings in the galaxy and negotiate from a position of strength despite being militarily weaker, it was inspiring. After the session ended and Sarah had left, Zira made a decision. She accessed her secure terminal and began copying classified files Council military deployments, communication codes, strategic vulnerabilities. She encrypted them and sent them to an Earth communication channel she had memorized. I do not know if this will help, she whispered to herself. But the Council is wrong, and Earth is right. Sarah returned to her transport ship, exhausted but satisfied. Her communicator chimed with an incoming message from an unknown source. She opened it and found military intelligence from inside the Council itself. We have a defector, she told her security team. Someone high up just sent us Council military secrets. Meanwhile, on dozens of Council worlds, the protests grew larger. Citizens demanded to know why their leaders had lied. They saw the videos of humans treating wounded Council soldiers with respect. They read the leaked documents showing the greedy motives behind the subjugation vote. Some governments tried to crack down. The information kept spreading. Earth's quantum communication network made it impossible to block or trace. Every attempt to suppress the truth only made citizens angrier. Ambassador Krell sat alone in his quarters, watching his career collapse in real time. His communicator showed messages from the Vokari Council, calling for his immediate return to face charges of incompetence and deception. There was a knock at his door. He opened it to find Representative Ilyana standing there. I thought you would like to know, she said quietly. The Rixian Confederation is withdrawing from the subjugation effort. We will not commit more ships or resources to this war, Krell nodded numbly. Others will follow. Yes, Ilyana agreed. The humans outplayed us. They turned our own people against us and built an alliance we did not know existed. They won without winning a single battle. After she left, Krell sat in the darkness and wondered how everything had gone so wrong. The humans were supposed to be primitive, easy to control. Instead, they had exposed the Council's corruption, fractured their unity, and created a network of allies across the galaxy. On Earth, Captain Marcus Webb received new orders from Director Chen. Stand down from high alert, the message read. Begin diplomatic training for first contact with allied species. The war is not over, but we have changed its nature. Marcus smiled. His crew had expected to die fighting. Instead, They might actually survive to see peace. But in the Council military headquarters, General Vorkith stared at fleet deployment maps with cold determination. "The politicians may falter," he said to his loyal officers, "but we will not. Assemble the full invasion fleet. If Earth wants war, we will give them war they cannot survive." The choice was clear. The Council could accept Earth's terms and begin a new era of cooperation. They could commit to total war and risk losing everything. Some chose peace. Others chose pride. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see which path would prevail. Every species chose Earth's subjugation. None expected Earth's response. Part 4. The Turning Point. General Vorkoth watched his invasion fleet assemble with grim satisfaction. Over 800 warships from 12 loyal Council species filled the staging area. The politicians might have lost their nerve, but the military would finish what had been started. "This is the largest battle fleet ever assembled," his tactical officer reported. "Earth cannot possibly resist this force." "They will not need to resist," Vorkoth replied. "They will surrender the moment they see it, or they will be destroyed. Either way, this ends today." The fleet entered faster-than-light travel, destination Earth. The journey would take 6 hours. Vorkoth spent that time reviewing intelligence reports on human defenses. They had rebuilt much of what was destroyed in the first battle, but numbers did not lie. 800 ships against perhaps 100 human vessels. The outcome was certain. On Earth, evacuation sirens wailed across every continent. Massive underground shelters opened to receive billions of people. Cities that had stood for thousands of years emptied within hours as humanity prepared for the worst. "Captain?" Marcus Webb stood on the surface in New York City, watching the last civilian transports lift off. The city was now a ghost town, its streets empty, its buildings hollow. He had been reassigned from space combat to ground operations. Someone had to coordinate the resistance if the fleet broke through. "All civilians are secure," Commander Lisa Park reported. "The shelters are sealed. Medical teams are standing by." Marcus nodded, looking at the sky. Somewhere up there, the largest invasion force in galactic history was approaching. "How long?" 3 hours until they arrive in orbit," Lisa replied. "Director Chen says to trust the plan. Hope she knows what she is doing," Marcus said quietly. Director Sarah Chen stood in her command center, surrounded by displays showing fleet movements, diplomatic channels, and communication networks. Her staff worked frantically, coordinating thousands of moving pieces. "Status on the allied species?" she asked. "All 45 non-council species have confirmed," James Rodriguez reported. "They are in position and awaiting your signal." Sarah took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few hours. "Send the signal. Execute Phase 4. Across the galaxy, a coordinated operation began. The Tyranny launched strikes on Council mining facilities in their territory. The Bellwether Collective seized control of fuel processing plants. The Ossene Federation blockaded 3 major trade routes. Dozens of other species simultaneously attacked Council economic and resource targets. It was not a military assault, it was economic warfare on a scale never seen before. Within minutes, Council logistics networks began to fail. Supply lines collapsed. Resource shipments stopped moving in the Council chamber. Speaker Morvax received emergency reports from across Council space. "They are everywhere," she said in disbelief. "How did the humans coordinate this?" The answer was quantum entanglement communication, a technology Earth had developed but kept secret. It allowed instantaneous, untraceable communication across any distance. While the Council relied on faster-than-light couriers and relays, Earth could coordinate Allied forces in real time across the entire galaxy. General Vorkith's fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. "All ships, combat formation." "Prepare to," his tactical officer interrupted. "Sir, we are receiving emergency transmissions from home. The minor species are attacking our resource facilities. They are requesting the fleet return immediately." "Ignore them," Vorkoth ordered. "We finished this first." But the reports kept coming. The Vokari mineral processing centers were under siege. The Kryn fuel refineries had been seized. The Chithar agricultural worlds were being blockaded. Every species in the invasion fleet was facing simultaneous attacks on their economic infrastructure. "Sir, our governments are ordering us to return," his communications officer reported. "They say the situation is critical. We are ours from victory," Vorkith shouted. "If we turn back now, we lose everything. If we continue forward, we may have nothing to return to," his second-in-command said quietly. Vorkith made his decision. "We continue. All ships advance on Earth. Weapons hot." The massive fleet moved toward Earth, and for a moment it looked like humanity's last hour had come. Then the human defenses activated. And Vorkith learned why his intelligence had been so wrong. The defense platforms he expected were there, but so were thousands more hidden installations. The asteroids themselves began to move massive rocks with engines and weapons attached. Controlled by human AI, Earth's moon opened up to reveal weapon batteries built into its very surface. "Impossible," Vorkith breathed. "How did we miss all this?" "They have been building since before we first contacted them," his intelligence officer reported in shock. "They knew we would come eventually. They have been preparing for decades." But the real shock came when the human fleet engaged. Instead of fighting in space, they retreated to Earth's atmosphere. Vorkith ordered his ships to follow, confident that he could bombard the planet from orbit. That was when the trap closed. As Council ships entered low orbit, ground-based weapons opened fire, weapons far more powerful than anything seen in space. Railguns fired from reinforced mountain bunkers. Laser batteries hidden in underground facilities painted targets for orbital strikes. The atmosphere itself became a weapon as Earth used its own gravity and air density. Against the invaders, Council ships that tried to land found entire cities empty but rigged with traps. Automated defense systems activated. Underground resistance networks emerged. The humans had turned their planet into one massive defensive fortification. Commander Lisa Park led one such resistance cell in the remains of Tokyo. When Council dropships landed, they found the city abandoned except for automated drones that attacked from every direction. Buildings had been rigged to collapse on enemy positions. The subway systems had been turned into defensive networks. "They expected to conquer a planet," Lisa said to her team. "They are getting a war zone, where every street is hostile and every building is a fortress." Captain Marcus Webb coordinated the defense from his command post. "All units, remember the strategy. Do not try to win battles. Try to make them too expensive to continue. Every ship we destroy, every soldier they lose, makes the cost higher." But the real turning point came from an unexpected source. Diplomat Zero, who had been secretly helping Earth, broadcast a message on all Council frequencies from her position within the Rixian Confederation. "Council forces, this is Junior Diplomat Zero of the Rixian Confederation. I am transmitting the complete military deployment codes, shield frequencies, and tactical doctrines of the Council fleet. I do this because the Council is wrong. Earth deserves to be free, and we deserve leaders who do not lie to us." The transmission included everything: command codes, encryption keys, strategic vulnerabilities. Zira had been copying information for months, and now she released it all. She knew it meant the end of her career, possibly her life. But she did it anyway. Earth's tactical computers processed the information instantly. Every Council ship suddenly became an open book. Their shields could be bypassed. Their communications could be intercepted. Their tactics could be predicted. The battle turned in minutes. Human forces struck at the exact weak points in Council formations. Defense platforms targeted shield vulnerabilities. The losses became catastrophic. General Vorkith watched his fleet die around him. "Retreat," he finally ordered, his voice hollow. "All ships retreat to the staging area." But the retreat was chaotic. Half his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The other half fled in disorder. When they finally reached safety, only 300 ships remained of the 800 that had attacked. Worse news awaited them. Back at their homeworlds, the economic situation had become critical. Without the resources from the minor species, Council economies were collapsing. Governments were falling. Some species were negotiating separate peace with Earth. Speaker Morvax called for an emergency session. The invasion has failed, she announced to the shocked representatives. We have lost over half our fleet, our economy is in crisis, and our own people are demanding we end this war. Ambassador Krell, watching from his home in exile, felt only numbness. He had started this. He had promised easy victory. Instead, he had brought the council to its knees. Director Sarah Chen received the victory reports, but felt no joy. Thousands had died on both sides. The cost was enormous, but they had survived. Send a message to the council, she ordered. Tell them we are ready to discuss terms. No subjugation, no exploitation, just peace and cooperation. In orbit above Earth, Captain Marcus Webb looked at the debris field from the battle. So many ships destroyed, so many lives lost. He thought about the message Earth had been trying to send from the beginning. We do not want war, he said quietly. We never did. We just wanted to be left alone and treated with respect. Commander Lisa Park joined him. Do you think they finally understand? Marcus watched as the last council ships retreated toward their space. Some do, others never will. But we have shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be conquered. That has to be enough. The largest invasion fleet ever assembled had failed. Earth still stood, and across the galaxy, oppressed species watched and learned that resistance was possible, that the mighty could fall, and that sometimes the smallest voice could start a revolution. Every species chose Earth's subjugation. None expected Earth's response. Part 5. A new galactic order 3 days after the failed invasion. General Vorkoth made his final, desperate move. He had been relieved of command, but still controlled a small faction of hardline military forces ships crewed by those who refused to accept defeat. Target the moon, he told his loyal officers. We destroy it, and the resulting debris will devastate Earth. They will surrender or die. It was madness. It was genocide. But Vorkoth no longer cared about honor or strategy. He cared only about making humanity pay for humiliating the Council. 20 warships broke away from the retreating fleet and accelerated toward Earth's moon, their weapons charged, targeting the lunar surface with enough firepower to shatter it into fragments. On Earth, alarms screamed. Incoming enemy vessels on attack vector, the tactical officer reported. They are targeting the moon. Director Sarah Chen went pale. If the moon was destroyed, the tidal forces would cause catastrophic flooding, earthquakes, and climate collapse. Billions would die. Activate the lunar defense grid, she ordered. All available ships intercept. Stop them at any cost. Captain Marcus's Webb ship was still in Earth's orbit. All human vessels, emergency response. We cannot let them reach the moon. The remaining Earth defense ships threw themselves at Vorkoth's squadron in a desperate last stand. But there were too few ships, and the enemy was too determined. Vorkoth's flagship broke through the defensive line. Fire all weapons, he ordered. Destroy the moon. But before the weapons could fire, something impossible happened. Council ships' vessels from the main retreating fleet suddenly changed course and opened fire on Vorkoth's forces. This is Admiral Threcker. To all units came a transmission. General Vorkoth is relieved of command under Council Law, Article 73, Prevention of Genocide. Any ship that follows his orders will be considered a war criminal. Threcker, who had led the first failed invasion, had returned with loyal Council forces to stop the madness. His ships tore into Vorkoth's squadron, destroying them before they could complete their attack. Vorkoth's flagship was crippled, its weapons offline. He sat in his command chair, watching his dreams of vengeance die. Why? He asked Threcker over the communication channel. Why stop me? They defeated us. Because you are not defending the Council anymore, Threcker replied quietly. You are just murdering billions out of spite. That is not honor. That is evil. And I will not let the Council fall that far. Vorkoth was arrested. His loyal officers surrendered. The last threat to Earth was eliminated, not by humans, but by Council forces who chose honor over blind hatred. The galaxy watched in shock as the footage spread. Council forces had turned on their own to protect Earth. Citizens across Council space saw that some of their military leaders still had principles, that not everyone had been corrupted by greed and pride. Speaker Morvax convened an emergency session of the remaining Council representatives. "We have failed," she announced. "Not just militarily, but morally. We voted for subjugation based on lies and greed. We have lost ships, resources, and the trust of our people. The Council as it exists cannot continue." Representative Ileana stood. "Then let us build something better. Earth has offered terms. I propose we accept them." The vote was called. 28 species voted to accept Earth's peace terms. 14 voted to continue resistance. 5 abstained. The Council was finished, not destroyed by conquest, but dissolved by its own failures. Director Sarah Chen stood before the galactic media networks to announce Earth's proposal. "We do not seek to replace the Council with human domination. We propose instead the Solidarity Accord, a federation of equal species working together for mutual benefit. No subjugation. No exploitation. Just cooperation and respect." The response was overwhelming. Within 1 week, 60 species had signed the accord that 28 former Council members who voted for peace, Earth's 45 allied species, several neutral civilizations who saw opportunity in the new order. The remaining Council hardliners formed their own alliance. But without the economic resources and with their populations protesting, they held little real power. The galaxy had changed, and they were relics of the old way. 5 months after the failed moon attack, trials were held for war crimes. The charges included genocide attempt, civilian bombardment, and crimes against peace. The judges were a mixed tribunal of multiple species, including humans. General Vorkath stood trial for his attempted destruction of Earth's moon. The evidence was overwhelming. He was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment on a neutral world. But in an unexpected move, Director Sarah Chen testified on behalf of Ambassador Krell. He was wrong, she told the tribunal. He lied to his people and helped start an unjust war. But he did not commit genocide. He did not order the slaughter of civilians. He was a politician who made terrible choices, not a war criminal.
Extra testimony.
Krell received a suspended sentence rather than prison. He returned to his homeworld in disgrace, but alive. Years later, Krell would write a memoir about his experiences. In it, he described the moment he realized Earth had won. "It was not when they defeated our fleets or exposed our lies. It was when they showed mercy to me, a defeated enemy who had tried to enslave them. That was when I understood that they were not just stronger than us, they were better than us." 1 year after the dissolution of the Council, the first Solidarity Accord assembly was held on neutral ground, a space station built specifically for the purpose. Director Sarah Chen was elected as the first coordinator by unanimous vote. Her first act was to invite former Council species to join as equal members. "We do not seek revenge," she announced. "We seek partnership. The galaxy is large enough for all of us to thrive together." Captain Marcus Webb retired from military service and became an instructor at the new Multi-Species Defense Academy. Officers from dozens of species learned human tactics not to conquer, but to defend their own worlds against future threats. Commander Lisa Park took command of Earth's remaining defense fleet. Now integrated with ships from allied species, they formed the Accord Defense Force, not an army of conquest, but a peacekeeping force. Diplomat Zira, who had risked everything to help Earth, was granted asylum and became the Accord's chief of intelligence. Her knowledge of Council systems and her courage in speaking truth to power made her invaluable in building the new order. Admiral Threcker, who had stopped the genocide attempt, became an advocate for military reform across the former Council species. He worked to rebuild trust and teach new doctrines based on defense rather than aggression. 5 years after the subjugation vote, the anniversary became a galactic holiday. But it was not called Victory Day or Liberation Day. It was called Unity Day, celebration of when the galaxy learned to work together instead of dominating each other. The former council chamber was converted into a museum. People from dozens of species visited to learn about the war and its lessons. A human tour guide named Jackson led groups through the exhibits explaining the history. This is where they voted unanimously to subjugate Earth. He told a group of young students from multiple species. Every species said yes, thinking they would profit from our defeat. A young Vokar student raised her hand. What happened to change things? Jackson smiled. Earth fought back, but not the way they expected. We showed them that strength is not just military power. It is also about alliances, compassion, and standing up for what is right. We did not try to conquer them. We tried to show them a better way. A Chither student clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. My teacher says humans are special because you refuse to give up, maybe Jackson replied. But I think any species can be special if they choose to be. The lesson is not that humans are superior, is that no species should be subjugated, and every species deserves respect. He led them to the final exhibit, a holographic display showing the solidarity chord symbol, a circle of stars representing member species, with Earth not at the center, but as one star among equals. They thought we wanted to rule the galaxy, Jackson said, but we just wanted to be part of it as equals, as partners, as friends. And now we are. Director Sarah Chen stood in her office, looking at reports from across accord space. Trade was flourishing. Scientific cooperation had led to breakthroughs in medicine and technology. Member species were sharing resources and knowledge freely. James Rodriguez entered with the latest statistics. Membership requests are still coming in, he reported. We are now up to 112 species, with 20 more considering joining. Sarah nodded, feeling tired but satisfied. The hardliners still exist, she said. Some species will never accept this new order. True, James agreed. But they are a minority now. Most of the galaxy has chosen cooperation over domination. Sarah looked at an old photo on her desk, the moment when humanity learned about the subjugation vote. It felt like a lifetime ago. We lost so many people in the war, she said quietly. Sometimes I wonder if it was worth it. Every person who died prevented future wars, James replied. Every sacrifice showed the galaxy that there was another way. Because of them, billions of people across hundreds of species will live in peace. Yes, Director. It was worth it. On Earth, monuments were built to honor those who died defending their world. But they were not monuments to military victory. They were reminders of the cost of peace and the value of standing firm in your principles. Captain Marcus. Webb visited one such monument in New York. It listed the names of every person who died in the war, human and alien alike. The inscription read, "They fought not for conquest, but for dignity. They died not to dominate, but to be free." An old Vokari veteran stood beside him, tears streaming down his face. It was Kess, the soldier whose recorded message had helped change galactic opinion. He now lived on Earth, working at the Unity Day Museum. "I fought against you," Kess said quietly. "I tried to conquer your world," Marcus put a hand on his shoulder. "And now you teach others not to make the same mistake. That is redemption, my friend." The sun set over the monument, casting long shadows. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out, former enemies becoming friends. Old wounds healing and a new era beginning. The Solidarity Accord was not perfect. There were still disputes, still disagreements, still species that refused to join. But it represented something humanity had always believed in, that cooperation was stronger than conquest, that respect was more valuable than domination, and that even the smallest voice could change the galaxy if it refused to be silenced. The Council had voted unanimously for Earth's subjugation. They had expected an easy victory. Instead, they got a lesson in humility, compassion, and the true meaning of strength, and the galaxy would never be the same.